I'm John Stubbins. Welcome to Indivisible with John Stubbins on this 9/11 Day of Remembrance. You know, as we think about our first responders, as we think about what happened on 9/11, the Twin Towers coming down, those images will never leave my mind, and we will never forget. Never. We know exactly why it happened, and we know who did it to us. We know that Osama bin Laden was in the planning stages of putting this scheme, this scandal together to hurt America. And they did. They hurt us that day. And you know what they did. They hijacked several planes. One flew into the Pentagon. The other two that flew into the World Trade Center buildings 1 and 2, Tower 1 and 2, and then another plane obviously went down over Pennsylvania. Thankfully, because the passengers on the flight were able to overcome the hijackers, the Islamic jihadists, and that brings up something very important. My guest today is David Dudenhoefer. He's running for U.S. Congress, U.S. House in Michigan District 13. His opponent is Rashida Tlaib. She is one of the squad that Presley and AOC and Omar and of course Tlaib, and these people are anti-Semites. They're racist people, but they're also Islamic jihadists, and because of that, it's very disturbing on a day like this to know that we have people in our Congress right now that are using stealth jihad, that have infiltrated our government and want to bring our government down. And we know why. If you have studied stealth jihad, then you know that it's a matter of infiltration, not just with our government, but also with our schools, and pretty much everything that we touch in America, everything that we stand for, everything that we do. And so it's very, very disturbing that someone like Rashida Tlaib, who is an anti-Semite, that is a Farrakhan supporter, as you know, he hates Jews, he hates white people. He comes out and says it. It's just very, very disconcerting knowing that someone like that in Michigan District 13 is sitting there in Congress. And so, we need to take a look at that. We need to find out why we're allowing people like Omar, people like Tlaib and Presley and AOC. Why are we allowing them to be in Congress? Why are we allowing them to make laws? It's just, it's unbelievable. And I'm sure that all of you are disturbed, just like I'm disturbed by it. But what are we going to do about it? Are we going to stop the madness and, demand that these people either A, be arrested for the treason that they're committing, or even B, let's just deport them, because, we don't need that here in America. We've got enough problems. We don't need people trying to bring us down. So with that in mind, I want to bring on David Dudenhoefer, who is running against Tlaib in Michigan District 13. David, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me. Am I coming through here? Because I'm not seeing myself.
Your audio is, but your video is not. But since we're live, it doesn't. There's nothing we can do about it at this point, anyway. David, thank you so much for joining us. I'm sure you heard my opening about Rashida Tlaib and the fact that she's an anti-Semite. and using stealth jihad along with people like Omar to infiltrate our government. And I just want to read a couple things here real quick. And this was from a Clarion Project article on August the 2nd. And they were going on and talking about her relation to Farrakhan and also her primary challenger, Jones. And Farrakhan claimed, those of you that say that you're Jews, I will not even give you the honor of calling you a Jew. You are not a Jew, you are Satan. And it is my job to pull the cover off of Satan so that every Muslim, when he sees Satan, picks up a stone, as we do in Mecca. When you know who Satan is, you don't have to kill him, but the stone of truth, that's what you throw. We cast truth at falsehood till we knock out its brains, Farrakhan continued. And look, the Tlaib and her primary opponent, Jones, in association and support of Farrakhan, it's not incidental. In 2013, attended a Farrakhan speech where he shared his opinion on satanic Jews, and it just goes on and on from there. Tlaib has had a problematic history with anti-Semitism, and she's an avid supporter of anti-Semitic boycott, divestment, and sanctions BDS movement, seeking to destroy the state of Israel. In addition, following her swearing-in ceremony, Tlaib hosted a private dinner for close friends and family, and one of her guests was Abbas Hamadid, who is an anti-Semite and supporter of the Lebanese terrorist group Hezbollah. Tlaib shared cartoons by Carlos Latov, who is well known for his work mocking Jewish victims of the Holocaust. In 2006, Latov came in second in Iran's International Holocaust Cartoon Contest. Tlaib helped organize a trip to Israel and Palestinian-controlled territories with the group Mifta, which published a blood libel accusing Jews of using the blood of Christians to make matzos, and republished an article claiming Jews control the news media. And just recently, Tlaib expressed her support for a Palestinian terrorist who was killed after he carried out a car ramming of an Israeli soldier that sent the soldier to the hospital. So I wanted to bring that up because this is your opponent. This is an anti-Semite, and this is 9/11. And she's an Islamic jihadist who supports bringing in stealth jihad to destroy America. I just wanted to get your comments on your opponent, David.
Well, she has been radical from day one. There's no question about that. And I knew her back when she was a state rep here in the state of Michigan. And back then, she was even known as a problem seeker and not a problem solver. And she carried with her those attitudes of socialism, seemed to care more about what was going on overseas than she did in her own backyard. So I think that this is consistent with what she has been, what she's demonstrated to the district. And it is disturbing to hear some of these comments, to be sure. And I think if anything, it just should embolden the voters who maybe didn't know much about what they were getting into when they voted for her the first time, to not vote for her again. Our district and our voters are looking for something quite different. They're looking for somebody who's going to help them with their health issues, their health care, education, on a pathway to careers. They want safety in the streets. They certainly don't want this defunding of the police going on and the chaos that would, cause. To me, you defund the police, you have no way of defending yourself if you're like Tlaib and you're trying to confiscate the guns or make it harder for people to defend themselves. You're also creating criminal empowerment zones, which is creating, in many ways, the type of calamity that's going on in other countries that we're seeing. And For me, I think it's just very simple. It's cut and dry. You take a look at this, you listen to what she has to say. This is not a representative in the United States Congress. This is a representative of other countries and other ideologies that we just don't subscribe to. So it's time for her to go.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that, David. And by the way, I'm sorry for the technical problems that we're having, folks. But at the bottom of the screen, I just want to let you know that we've got David's information so that you can join his campaign, go to his website, follow him on Twitter, and get involved. And let's do everything in our power to get rid of Tlaib and send her home. We don't need her in Washington. We don't want her in Washington. She doesn't represent American values, and David Dudenhoefer does. And you need to be making sure that you're involved with his campaign up in Michigan 13, District 13, and doing everything you can to support David so that we can get Tlaib out of Congress. We don't want an anti-Semite and an Islamic jihadist representing America or representing Michigan's District 13. It just cannot happen any longer. These people have to go. And Rashida Tlaib, we've heard her. We know the kind of filth that she brings, the foul language she uses. She has no respect for our president, no respect for our country, no respect for our law enforcement, no respect for our troops. And as far as she's concerned, she'll bring what Omar left, which is total destruction in a third world country in the Middle East. They want to bring that to America, and it makes no sense to me. David, tell us about the issues that are important to you and are important to your constituents in your district, and the change that you can bring that Tlaib has failed on.
Yeah, well, when you talk about the issues, it's never about what the candidate wants to talk about, or should be. It should always be about what the voters need, what the constituents need. So we conducted 2 polls. One was prior to COVID and one that was in July, mid-July. And ironically, both turned out to be roughly the same in terms of what folks wanted. They wanted to fix healthcare. They did not want that system to be, band-aided and kicked down the road and promised that it would be fixed the way we've been talking about since I've been knee-high to a cricket, So that was number one. Education and job creation, specifically long-term careers, that came in number 2. And then public safety in our streets. I'm from Detroit. The violence is something that we're, we know all too well about. But credit to Chief Craig, he does not tolerate the kind of things that we're seeing in some of the other communities. He squashes it whenever it comes up. In fact, they tried a Detroit version of CHOP, and it lasted a whole 45 minutes before he called in some tow trucks, towed their cars away, and it was over. So, but those are the things that resonate with voters. And so what I'm trying to bring is more free market solutions, letting folks know that we can solve these problems better than government can, because government, in all of its good intentions, just exacerbates problems. They just make it worse. And the delivery of service is awful. The efficiency is awful. The cost goes up. Quality goes down. We've seen this time and time again, anytime government gets their hands on anything.
Yeah.
I would like more of a collaborative based healthcare system that's more result based, the way they're experimenting with in other countries that are capitalist countries, and not this enrollment based system where we're just testing over and over again and we're not sharing information without having to go through bureaucratic red tape between family practice doctors and specialty doctors. So I'd like something like that with healthcare, and then look into some other advances that we can explore that are more free market. When it comes to jobs, I mean, that's going to be dependent upon education. And right now our education is also enrollment based. It's about getting these students enrolled in college, but they're not, once they're enrolled, the incentive to get them graduated and get them in the career that they want to be in is just not there.
Yeah.
I think something like independent share agreements is a great idea to look towards. You have universities and businesses that participate in that, and it gives the colleges skin in the game, and it gives businesses skin in the game, where you're not responsible as a student for the cost right up front until you get into the career that you were going to school for, and then you can pay the college at no interest. The banks are excluded from this equation, so we're saving on interest and saving on all that. If businesses want to get involved directly, then the student might have to agree to work for that company for, say, a period of the first 5 years of their career or what have you, and then the business would flip the bill for those studies. And you would also make sure that the student is studying what they wanted to study in order to get that career, and not take all these fluff classes that are worthless. So those are some of the things that I would bring to the table. And what you notice in that is that it doesn't involve a lot of government.
Right.
It involves people solutions. So that's where I come from.
Yeah. And I'll just say a couple things about that. Number one, people are learning that not just college anymore, because on college campuses, conservatives have been silenced. Their free speech rights are being silenced. My buddy Mark Joseph did a film about this called No Safe Spaces, which was out at theaters back in December of 2019. It was a documentary with Dennis Prager and Adam Carolla. And, you look at that and you see what's happening. You see the indoctrination, and so many of our college campuses have just become liberal indoctrination centers. And it's bled all the way down now to elementary school, where, BLM has infiltrated the teachers' unions. They're helping them design the curriculum, bringing in books like White Fragility. We keep talking about that because until it's solved and dealt with, we're going to keep bringing it up. But it's liberal indoctrination, and they want to indoctrinate our kids as young as possible now. So, it's no surprise that when they get to the age of college, that they're out doing the crazy things they're doing, when their professors are actually with them doing it. I saw yesterday on the news that there was a liberal professor in Oregon that was arrested as part of the riots, throwing Molotov cocktails and interfering with the police up there. And we know that these liberal professors, they're encouraging these people to riot and cause damage and fight with the police, et cetera, which has led to murder and looting and burning of businesses. And so I wanted to address that. And then the other part is that trade schools, I think, are going to be the big thing moving forward, because I don't know. There's a lot of parents out there that are pulling their kids out of school, not because of the virus, but because of the indoctrination. They don't want their kids to be a part of that. And I understand that, and I applaud that. So, if you're doing homeschooling or charter schools or private schools, kudos to you, Americans, because those are the kind of things that we need. But as people get into the college age, having trade school skills, you don't end up with this large student debt. You don't go through this silly, ridiculous, America-hating, liberal indoctrination that's now become racist. I saw President Trump just 2 days ago had to come out and say, he is ceasing all of these programs that are trying to shame white people. They're actually doing this, whether it's the FBI or the people that guard our nuclear missiles, or scientists. There are groups that are making them take these workshops where they're shamed with their white privilege, and it's racist. Okay, we had a civil rights era. We did away with racism. We did away with discrimination, and we made all kinds of progress over the years until Obama was elected, and he set us back 50 years. But I wanted to just bring up the trade schools because I think that they're important. And those trades, we need people in those trades.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you could apply the same principle of independent share agreements to the trade schools as well. I mean, there's no reason why a student who's motivated to want to get into a career these days cannot get the training and do so. We just have to find creative ways to be able to offer that where it doesn't tax the taxpayer, if you will, and require our hard-earned money to be wasted. We have Gretchen Whitmer, our governor here, just proposed that not only should the frontline workers, but K through 12 should have the ability to have free college.
No,
so that's about $1.7 million in terms of students, and you times that by roughly maybe 12, 15,000 on average for your college education, and then you do the math.
Yeah,
it's not sustainable.
No.
So, yep. So there's better ways that we can do this where, everybody has skin in the game. And at the end of the day, the person who's looking for that long-term career gets the benefit they need, which means it's a benefit to the business. It's not draining the economy. It doesn't translate into the second largest debt next to credit card debt, the way education is now, student debt. And it's good for the economy. So this is win-win when you pursue these sort of free market principles. And that's what we're lacking in government.
Yeah,
I think because we've got too many lobbyists from too many backgrounds that they want these people in public service to pass legislation that benefits them instead of benefiting the people. So we got to flip that script.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And look, and I agree with you. It's inexcusable and it's unsustainable. No way it's going to happen. They want to do this on a national scale, not just the state of Michigan. But if you do the math, there's no way that the American taxpayer is going to tolerate being forced to pay the bill on this free college and free everything. They also want to give, free attorneys to illegal immigrants coming over here that shouldn't be here in the first place. Sorry, we can't afford that. We're not even taking care of our veterans who are some of them are homeless. Some of them have mental issues, PTSD. We have other people that are homeless. We have kids in need. We have a fatherless crisis in America. 3 out of every 4 black households don't have a father. It's almost half in the white community, almost half in the Hispanic community. So, no, we don't have the funds. We don't have the resources to do this. And I guarantee the American people, they're not going to stand for it. I want to dive into something else here. There was an article yesterday by GOP USA. Rashida Tlaib, group demands independent probe of Detroit police action at riots and protests. And I was looking at this article, and she was one of 4 lawmakers that sent a letter on Tuesday to the mayor of Detroit, stating that they want an independent investigation into the use of excessive force against protesters. Really, rioters is what they are. Legal observers and journalists during recent demonstrations, right? And Chief Craig said, other than one occasion involving an officer who was suspended and charged with 3 felonies, his officers have not used excessive force during the more than 100 days of demonstrations or protests that started in late May due to the George Floyd incident. And the 2-page letter was written by Rashida Tlaib and also Senator Stephanie Chang of Detroit, both Democrats. And, I'm looking at this thing, and, the letter was CC'd to Attorney General Dana Nessel, and she talks about the right to free speech and protesting, and, how people shouldn't be gassed or tasered or beaten or killed by law enforcement officers. I'm not aware of anybody being killed by Detroit's police, number one. And also, Craig said we've never shied away from an independent investigations, number one. But, and he's been transparent throughout his tenure. But he says, Tlaib maybe needs to talk to her constituents and try to understand what they want. And what they want is for police to be funded additionally, not defunded, like Tlaib claims. And they approve of the job that the Detroit police are doing and Craig is doing as the leader of the police there. So, Tuesday's call for an independent investigation comes after Group Detroit Will Breathe filed a lawsuit last week alleging Detroit police used unnecessary, unreasonable, excessive force and violated members' constitutional rights, whatever that means. But look, someone was pepper sprayed. The bottom line here is if you're breaking the law, and I get into this every day, if you're breaking the law, if you're throwing bricks at police and urine and resisting arrest and fighting police and looting and burning and shooting other people, what is it that these people expect for the police to do when citizens who pay taxes are calling the police to put a stop to it?
Yeah, exactly. In addition to that, what are they supposed to do when on the other end of the spectrum, you've got these same lawmakers trying to disarm citizens to protect themselves, their property, and their family? So they're getting it from both ends. And to Chief Craig's credit, and I would also say to the mayor's credit, who's not trying to hamstring the chief of police, they're out there doing the job and what they're paid to do. The constituents want this kind of protection. They want the streets safe. They want what Chief Craig has been offering. And I think that it's important to note that in terms of the type of community policing that the socialists claim that they want, Chief Craig has already offered that with the neighborhood patrol officers units where you're connected with, we call them NPOs, you're connected with your community. I've got the cell phone of my NPO. He's got mine. We exchange information. And, under that system, going back 10 years, crime has dropped in those areas of Detroit where we've implemented those strategies. And not just Chief Craig. I mean, we've got 11 other communities in this district, and those police chiefs and those mayors, they've got similar challenges. And we haven't heard too much in the way of, protesters or, quote unquote, peaceful protesters. We know what they really are.
Right.
Overrunning any of those communities either. So I can't just forget about the other 11 communities. But yeah, to your point, absolutely. I think people are being spoon-fed some pretty horrible information by somebody that they've elected to represent them. I think that Rashida has obviously been tone deaf when it comes to this. They want guidance counselor cops out there instead of actual police officers doing the job, and that's not what the citizens want.
No.
But incidentally, I wanted to comment too. I did in our office, we screened no safe spaces in our office to our supporters a few weeks back, and we've got a sign up on our door that just reads, "If you ain't masking, we ain't asking." So nice. Yeah, so they came in and at their own risk, what have you, and we exercised our liberty. We showed that movie despite the governor's so-called lockdown orders. We're going as planned anyway. Next week, we're going to be showing The Swamp. That's the HBO special, so people can get a chance to see from Matt Gates's viewpoint and Thomas Massey and some others about just how the swamp works in D.C.
Yeah, and I would highly recommend. There's a couple other films you should take a look at. Trump Card is coming out. Dinesh D'Souza's film. Also, Larry Elder put out a documentary called Uncle Tom, and also I'm trying to think of his name right off the bat. Oh gosh, it's going to elude me, but there was another one that just came out that's fantastic. Investigative reporter, and I can't think of his name. But to your point about no safe spaces, what did you think of the documentary?
Yeah, we thought it was eye-opening, and I like the fact that they were able to, keep folks interested in watching through, the slight bit of humor that was kind of woven into the presentation. Our folks just loved it. They were, attentive the entire time, and it just, for me as district chair, because I've been a district chair of the 13th since 2013, been a precinct delegate and an activist since 2007. Part of my job, as I saw it, was to be on the college campuses and helping where I could. And so exactly what you saw in the film on those parts that dealing with the college campuses is exactly what I was experiencing. And what we try to do is just get over there and we try to, let folks know that, hey, freedom of speech is a great thing. We try to demonstrate that through what we had some fun with, something called a free speech ball. It was a giant 6-foot beach ball where we said, hey, folks, we just rolled it around. We said, hey, folks, go ahead and put out whenever you want on this, sign it any way you want, any words you want to use, because this is what it's about. And that was a way for us to get around, and this particular university was Wayne State, where they had restrictions on posted signs, but it says nothing about movable signs. So we got around that and had a little bit of fun with it. And what you find is the students are, they gravitate towards that. They want that free speech. They don't want to be stifled. Free speech doesn't mean, attacking one another. It just means that we're expressing ourselves in different ways. And, this whole idea of hate speech, it's all protected speech, So you can erect your soapbox and say what you want. I can erect my soapbox and say what I want. I've got a sign here in my office. It's a shame I can't get this camera going. And by the way, that's my fault too, by the way. I don't want to put that on John. It's technical difficulties on our side, so I apologize for that. But we have a sign in here that says, anywhere my 2 feet are planted is a free speech zone. And I take that very seriously.
Well, I'll tell you, first of all, we'll have you back on the show leading up to the election, and we'll get the video issue worked out so that I can see that sign and our viewers can see that sign. And look, when it comes to the free speech thing, it's these radicals, it's these people that hate America. It's BLM, it's Antifa, it's these professors that are preaching to stifle free speech on these campuses. And I'll be honest with you, President Trump, he needs to start withdrawing funding to these universities. That's the only thing they seem to understand is money. Just like the pro sports, they don't seem to get the message. They're going to get the message, though, because they're going to lose money. And it's going to be the same thing with college campuses and businesses that have decided that they're going to eliminate half of the country minimum as customers because they hate us, because we don't agree with them or their views, or because we don't agree that abortion shouldn't happen, or that we don't agree that illegals should be allowed to just flow into our country without any checks or balances. I mean, or it's our Second Amendment. It's everything. It's taxes. You name it. Whatever the issue, whatever the subject, they want to go another way. We don't. Okay. And if you want to burn down my business or shoot me or hate me because I don't agree with you, that's evil. That's something different. And those people that, number one, someone like Omar, she needs to be deported. These people are treasonous. And for people that don't even belong here, they need to be deported. For the people that do live here, that are citizens, they need to go to prison. They need to be accountable for violence against innocent people. And we're seeing way too much of it. By the way, and Mark Joseph is a fantastic producer. I'm glad that you got to look at No Safe Spaces. By the way, what did you guys think of it? Overall, did you enjoy it?
Oh yeah, we not only enjoyed it, we, like I said before, we enjoyed the presentation, the way it was formatted, and the folks, like I said, they were very attentive to it. The messaging came through loud and clear. There was really no boring part about that. And so I'd actually considered giving those folks a call. I think it was a team of a couple of guys that did the videography on that. We were going to have them come out to Detroit and do the videography for some of our commercial ads that we wanted to run.
You should.
And we made some of that just involves, flying them out and some funding and what have you. But, fortunately, we've had such vast support nationwide. I mean, I think we're somewhere around 11 to 12,000 individual donors. And we really just have one PAC that's supporting us. It's the Constitutional Rights PAC, which I would encourage your listeners to check out because they're doing some great work over there. But yeah, we're just, we're doing it the way we're supposed to do. We've got, our motto is win at the door. We're going to the doors. We're talking to folks. We're listening to what they have to say. We're going into Detroit where Republicans have not gone and just sort of, ignored for so many years. We've got an office in the district, probably the first Republican office going back some 30 years that I can investigate.
Wow.
And so, we're right in the center of the district, easily accessible for everybody. We've got a fresh look to our website, to our yard signs, to our palm cards. We're presenting ourselves in a modern kind of a way, advancing the cause of liberty. For me, and just for folks that don't know me, just understand this. I've come into this as an activist. I didn't come into this as a lawyer or a doctor or some other profession, and then somebody, said, "Hey, we'll fund you a bunch of money, go run for office." I've already been disappointed by government. I know what that disappointment feels like. I've worked the legislature as an activist, learning the bill process. I'm ready to go on day one with the understanding that it is the government's role to defend to secure rights, and it's the legislator's role to defend individual liberty through an equal application of the law. And so I go with that foundation, and I also go with the understanding that I will never hire somebody from House Leadership Services. I will always bring in my own folks from the district, because then they're beholden to me and the constituents and not to House leadership.
Yeah.
So those are some understandings that I bring, and I'm ready to go to learn that process. About the only thing I'm going to probably stumble with in the first few months, and I think that's going to be true for any first legislator, is just learning the town, learning the ins and outs of the town, and kind of the process of starting day one or what have you. But in terms of legislation, in terms of what I expect from myself, what my constituents expect, I've already got that. I've already understood that, and I have no problem with that. They don't give me an opportunity to read a bill. It's a no vote. I'm not just going to read a bill title and then go play golf at 2:00. That's just not happening with me.
Good.
So that's where I come from. That gives you a little bit of a sense about me. And like I said, folks can go to dudeforcongress.com if they want to know more. I know that there's a scrolling bar below, and donations and door knockers and folks making calls, hosting an event. We're hosting an event, by the way, in a few weeks with a Black millennial country singer named Trey Taylor.
Nice.
He's going to be coming in, and he's going to be performing and doing a fundraiser for us. And so there's going to be more details about that coming real soon. We're also going to be giving away one of America's most beloved forms of home protection, the AR-15, as a commitment to my Second Amendment beliefs. And stay tuned for that in the next few days. We're going to be announcing that. Anybody out of state is eligible as well. But you just have to be a lawful gun owner, or be able to be a lawful gun owner to be able to win. So if you're out of state, we'll just have our local gun dealer ship it out to your local gun dealer, and then you can pick it up.
Nice. And you had mentioned a couple minutes ago about checking out another site also. What was that site? You said everybody should look into it.
Oh, Constitutional Rights PAC. Yeah, you can find them on the web. You can also find them on social media. That's a PAC that's endorsing me, and they're very supportive of me. And you go and check out the kind of candidates, the quality candidates that they're supporting. And, there are some good PACs out there. You just have to find them.
Okay. Everybody, that's Constitutional Rights PAC. And along with Constitutional Rights PAC, also, again, dude, the number 4, Congress.com. Dude, the number 4, Congress.com is David's website. You can also follow him through Twitter, and that's at dude, the number 4, liberty. By the way, David, I just want to throw this out there to you because you had mentioned political ad. I just cut a political ad for the state of Kentucky. So if you need help up there, voiceover or delivering the message on camera, let me know. I'd be pleased to come up and work with you guys.
Thanks so much.
Oh, my pleasure. And then secondly, I remembered, it took me a minute to find it, but that other documentary I was talking about, Peter Schweitzer, it's called Ride the Dragon. So that's another one that I would highly recommend. I think it's on Blaze TV. So Ride the Dragon, Trump card, like I said. And by the way, we're also working on Carter Page's documentary, and we're going to be doing Sidney Powell's as well. So we're going to have some hard-hitting documentaries coming your way. But make no mistake, No Safe Spaces is a really important documentary, and everyone needs to see it, definitely. David, thank you so much for coming on the show, for talking with our audience, letting them know who you are, what you stand for, what you stand against, and we appreciate the fact that you have put in so much effort to beating Rashid Tlaib, developing a ground game, making the phone calls, donations to your website. All of that is very, very important. And we just wish you success in beating Rashida Tlaib. We've got to get her out of office. We cannot have another cycle, another election cycle go by with her in Washington, because it is the swamp. And when you get there, you're going to, as you learn to navigate the waters, thankfully, I believe this election, it's going to be a red wave in a lot of states. And I think there's going to be a lot of conservatives coming to Washington. And that's great news, because that hopefully will change and start to alter the swamp and turn it into something resembling a real house for the people. We the people. It's we that elect people to Washington, D.C., and therefore it's our home. And because of that, we want people that are representing us, our values, the things that are important to us, the things we care about, family, faith, Second Amendment, freedom, free speech, you name it, all those things. And doing it in a way that we don't have to promote things like racism and Islamic jihadists and the CCP. We've got to get these things out, because these are the things that are holding America back.
Yeah, absolutely. And the only thing I would add to all that is, for folks who are out of state that consider supporting us, or why would they want to support us because they've got candidates in their own backyard, just understand this. If you've ever heard President Trump speak, he's always talking about holding the line, right? And here in Michigan, he only won by just about 10,000 votes. So we've got to increase that vote total. My presence increases the odds that more votes will come out in Detroit, Wayne County, which is critical for not only the president, but for Senate candidate John James. We've got to get rid of that zombie candidate, or that zombie Senator Gary, whatever his name is.
Yes.
Yes. So those are the things that we're working towards, and my presence makes that possible. And that's why people from out of state are giving, because they recognize that by forcing her to spend her money here, she's not propping up a budding socialist, perhaps in your backyard.
Yeah, exactly. No doubt about it.
Yep.
And look, I saw President Trump was in Michigan last night. Huge reception. And I know John James was there. And so were you there, by the way?
I was with the other 6 candidates for Congress that were mentioned. But,
yes.
It's just one of those things. I don't know, miscommunication with state party to Donald Trump. I don't blame the president. I just think that if we're all going to be in this together, we really need to, support all of the candidates, both, in terms of verbal support and in terms of, the things that you can offer a candidate from the party apparatus. I mean, Rashida Tlaib is public enemy number 2 or 3 on the list, depending on which way you look at it.
Yes, she
is. State party really needs to to get into Detroit, Wayne County more than it has in the past 50, 60 years. I put a lot of this on them. It's just the attitude that state party has always had about Detroit, Wayne County. We've got to break that stigma. I'm going to be doing some things in terms of strategy with the money that I am raising to demonstrate a blueprint for how you flip these votes. And I'm going to get a little deep in the weeds here with you for just a second.
Sure.
We've got about 525,000 registered voters. Okay. Rashida Tlaib got 165,000 of those votes 2 years ago. There was no Republican on the ballot because of a technical issue in the county, just threw out the signatures. Maybe some political gamesmanship, but neither here nor there. But typically they've been getting about 40 to 60,000 votes. The Libertarian will get about 8 to 10,000, and there's no Libertarian on the ballot this year. We're going to be using our money to do about 3 to 5 phone touches and 1 to 2 physical touches with a segment of Wayne County that we feel we need to, get into in terms of soft Democrats, independents, and moderate Republicans. And what we're going to demonstrate is that there's this theory that's been floating around for many years that for every $10,000 you spend, you can earn about 1,000 votes with 5 to 7 touches, they call it, okay? Whether that's phone or physical or mail. So we're going to test that out. And on paper, we're going to be able to demonstrate where we were able to earn with a $40,000 investment, an additional 4,000 minimum votes. Now, that's not a lot, okay, in terms of what we need. But we're not raising what we need to raise because the party's just not supporting it. Now, what we're going to be able to show, though, is where those votes were flipped and what we did to flip them and create the blueprint for people with big money to come in and actually invest in this district besides just putting up a token office in Detroit and putting a couple of young people in there. We need more than that.
Yeah.
I've already been going into the black churches. I've already been establishing contact with the pastors. We've already been changing hearts and minds on issues, if not personalities. So those are the kinds of things that, if folks that are listening to your show would invest into, that's what they're going to be investing in. Besides the digital, besides the mailers, besides the yard signs and all the things that you have to do to win.
Sure. And that's excellent information. Thank you for telling us that, because that's important when someone wants to get involved with maybe, contributing to your campaign. Now they know what your design is, what your plan is. And that's important, David. So thank you for sharing that. And I agree with you. And by the way, look, President Trump, I know he's in Michigan again today, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, I hadn't heard that. Is he?
He may have left. I'm sorry. He may have left. I'm not sure about that. I've been dealing with the show all day. I had an earlier special segment with Dave Bray, who does our music, and he came out with an amazing 9/11 tribute. But look, the bottom line is we're going to get the message out through social media about you, about why it's important for people to go to your website and to get involved. And we'll get thousands of people to take a look at your candidacy. And when they know that you're running against Rashida Tlaib, you're going to get a lot of people that are going to want to vote for you, my friend.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And we're seeing that support grow every day, especially as more and more people are getting more active and involved. For some reason, some folks, it just takes them till last month or month and a half before they start, checking things out. But we're making ourselves available. We definitely have a presence. We've got signs everywhere now. And we got more and more folks coming in. We've had to put in more orders for signs, and that's just a wonderful thing. And we're also supporting the ticket, too. This office is not just being used for us. We've also got Trump, James signs here. We are a hub for the activists who are participating in 2 petitions going on. Your listeners might want to know this. We are pursuing, and we're just about done collecting the necessary signatures through Unlock Michigan to repeal the Public Act 45 that gives Gretchen Whitmer those emergency powers. She has created some 160 emergency powers, the most in any other state. That includes the mask, or as I like to call it, the face diaper. And, we're going to be repealing all of that. And the next thing is, and by the way, that goes before the legislature, which is Republican controlled, and it's veto proof. So that's a great one for that. We're offering signature petitions here for that. Then the next one is the Recall Whitmer petition effort, which starts officially on October 1st. We'll have 60 days to collect 1.6 million signatures, and we'll have election day to include in on that, which means we're going to have our supporters with our cards going out there the way you're supposed to in front of the polling locations, but also have the clipboards and get that low-hanging fruit. Now, I'll tell you what, a year ago, I wouldn't have given you a wooden nickel for a petition like this for a recall. But with this issue going on and so many jobs lost and so many angry people, I think we got a great chance. And when we do it, we're going to send shockwaves across the country.
I think you're right about that, David. I really do. I think the timing is perfect. And Whitmer makes me sick, what she's done up there. And believe me, I talk to a lot of people, whether it's in Ohio or California or New York, Florida, Texas, doesn't matter. People know who she is, and they want her out. They don't like her. They don't like what she represents. She seems to be a control freak, and she's definitely put her fingers in the honey pot once too often up there in Michigan. So
yeah, and she stretches the truth an awful lot, which is partly the reason why we call her Stretchin' Gretchen.
She sure does. She sure does. David, God bless you, brother. We'll, like I said, we'll have you back on again as we lead up to the election, and we're just going to drive this thing and keep driving it and keep driving it, and we'll get this information to the people so that they can get to know you, your candidacy, and get you elected into Congress and send Rashida Tlaib home.
I'm all for it. I'm right there with you, man. Let's do it.
God bless you, David.
God bless you. Thanks for hosting. I'm going to get back with you again where we can get these video kinks worked out so your supporters can see me. And thanks for listening out there for all of you that are listening to this. It's important that we do this state by state, and not just state by state, but your local governments too. Get involved in your local governments, because that's where all this starts. And pretty soon we can restore our republic.
That's right. That's right. David, I'm going to just hang back for a second. I'll be with you in just a minute. Okay, brother?
Okay.
Thanks for joining us today as we had an amazing guest. David is, like I said, this is your chance. You want to get rid of the squad, the people that have infiltrated our government and trying to bring us down, the people that are encouraging violence across America, looting, burning, murder, assault, ruining our cities and these Democrat-run strongholds. You have an opportunity, America, to stop it. You have an opportunity to wipe them out and take them out. Get them out of our government, and let's get rid of the swamp. We've got to clean it up. Thank you so much for joining us, America, here on Indivisible with John Stubbins, and we will see you next week. Make sure that you remember, do not forget, 9/11. We will never, ever forget.